What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Gargoyles Awakening, published by Ravensburger and designed by Nate Heiss. Now, I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who's going to tell you more about the game itself.
It is a cooperative game for ages 10 and above, 2 to 5 players that plays in about 45 to 60 minutes, but I think that really depends on your skill level, maybe even the player count. There's one scenario I would say that kind of forces you to take it on the longer side, but other than that, we were much lower, under the 45 minutes for sure.
It probably took me the same amount of time to set up the game as it did to play the game, which we'll talk about more when we get into our review. So we will be changing things up a little bit because of this big 3D board and just the way it works, and we're trying to do everything in nice high quality video. We will be taking a quick cut and we're going to be doing a gameplay overview. Julie's going to walk you through the player turn. I'll talk a little bit about how you're going to be setting up the game, and then we'll also just discuss the villain phase and your actions as well. Now, what you will be doing in this game, well, there are 4 different scenarios. 3 of them are cooperative. One is a competitive one versus many scenario. You'll be taking on the role of your favorite gargoyles, rolling some dice, beating up on the famous villains from the show, Xanatos and Demona, as you protect New York City. You got Elisa, but unfortunately you don't have Bronx, the dog-leg gargoyle, who's always one of my favorites. Maybe he'll show up in an expansion if there is one in the future for the game. I think I summarized everything. Julie, did we miss anything?
Nope.
All right. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to grab our drinks. Grab our best friend. Then we're going to teach you a little bit about the game. And we're back, and we will be doing our overview for Gargoyles Awakening. So with regards to setting up the game, it is rather straightforward. You will be constructing the 3D terrain. All the hero characters will start here on the police clock tower. Now you will have a different scenario. Each scenario has a symbol at the top that corresponds to a villain deck of cards. The rules for the scenario are on the other side. You will just follow the setup instructions, place the enemies as depicted. You will then just set up their health on the enemy health track, and after that, you are good to go. You're ready to start playing the game. So Julie's now going to walk you through a player turn, a player board, let you know what the heroes are going to be doing, the fun stuff. I get to be evil and villainous.
Yeah, he loves that. So on your player card, you have the number of actions that you can take at the top here. So in Lexington's case, he's lucky. He gets 4 actions. I think everybody else gets 3.
Yeah, a lot. Sorry, this is Goliath with 3, Hudson's at 3, and you've got Elisa over there also at 3.
And then each character, so basically the different actions are also indicated on the card. You can move, you can glide. Elisa obviously can't glide, and you can attack, and the information is on the card here. Now also each character has a special action that they can do based on something. In Lexington's case, when he rolls what I call a lightning bolt, Jason can call it what he wants, he gets a special action. And then there's also the special action tokens that you can get from different scenarios, different things, and that skill token allows you to do a specific action as well. Now, during the daytime, and we can cut to that after we discuss the villain phase. The daytime actions are also indicated and are different for Elisa than they are for the different gargoyles. Now, what I'll say also is that you have 3 cards that you start with, and the cards have different special actions that you can do for your action points. So I'm holding 3 cards from Lexington here. One of them counts for one action, and the other 2 here count for 2 action points. So you know how many of your action points you're using when you use one of these cards. Then it tells you below on the card what you can do with it. So in this case, I have a card that allows me to move for extra actions, but it also allows me to do something else. So these special cards allow you to combine and do a special action that you can't normally do. And then you would draw up at the end of your turn, you would draw back up to 3 cards.
Yeah, and for example, just with Goliath's card here, like there's no movement, but it has the attack value listed, and it may have different ranges. So if you've got a character that typically is attacking close up, you may have a ranged ability that is in your deck. So as Julie mentioned, you can move and glide. Movement is your standard movement, like just moving across the map. Gliding means you're on a building and you can essentially glide over to another building. Don't think I could quite make it that far, especially not with Goliath. Maybe Lexington could because he's got 5 glide. And then when it comes to attacking, your attack value is the dice. So Goliath attack is 3. You would roll 3 dice. Now this lightning bolt, surge symbol, whatever you want to call it, may also apply to a hero card that has that symbol as well. You can only use each of these special abilities once. So if you roll 2 lightning bolts, you've got one on your character and one on your action card, well, you can then use both of them. So that covers everything that you're going to be doing. Attacking is fairly straightforward. You just want to get the claw marks to do damage. And enemies, I was going to reach for that one, but this one's easier here. When they take 1 wound, they flip over to the red side. After that, they're then removed from the board. When you're talking about characters like Xanatos, you must deplete the health that is on their health track. Now the villain phase. It's much like the hero phase, except you're going to be drawing a card from the specific villain decks. So make sure I got everything right side up. So what you're going to do is you will draw a card, you will reveal it, and it's going to tell you what to activate, either the Steel Clan, possibly Xanatos. There may be some other effect depending on the scenario. It gives you the amount he can move, the amount of dice he's going to roll, what will happen if he happens to roll that lightning bolt ability, and then the range of the attack. So if you've seen the show, he's got a laser blaster so he can shoot at range. Now any card that has this half moon symbol gets placed on the board, and this will slowly tick down to the daytime. Now there are cards that don't have that symbol. And because they don't have that symbol, you will not be putting them onto the track. You may also see things here that have a specific letter value, such as C4, so the map is lettered here. And then you would just take the character, Xanatos, and it would be C4. So he would then move to this location. And that is the villain phase. Now once 4 cards are out here, and you go to place the 5th one, you will go through the daytime phase. And since Julie's got the differences over there, I will let her break it down for the characters, and then I'll talk about what the villains will do on their daytime phase.
So when you get to daytime, it's basically a recovery time. That's when the gargoyles would turn to stone. So you can discard any number of cards from your hand that you don't like, put them in your discard pile. You reshuffle your discard pile into your deck, and then you would draw back up to 3 cards, and you'd also get to heal. I think most of them heal for 3, but yeah, that's what the gargoyles do. In Eliza's turn during the daytime, obviously she's not a gargoyle, so she is recovering differently. Obviously, she gets to discard cards and to reshuffle and to draw back up to 3. She only heals for 2, obviously, because she's human, but she also gets to gain a skill token because she's doing things and learning things during the daytime, I guess. So she gets to gain a skill, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and when you come to the villain daytime phase on this side of the scenario track, you will follow the rules, and they are always different. In this case, Xanatos would move. He's trying to recover these data discs. You will also be spawning new members of the Steel Clan, and then you will reshuffle this villain deck, essentially resetting everything, pulling all the cards back in, and then you will continue to play until the loss objective has been met with a hero being defeated, or you manage to win the scenario. So there you have it. That's our discussion, our overview of the gameplay for Gargoyles. Now keep it right here, as we'll be coming back at you with our review of the game. So Gargoyles Awakening, what did you think of this game?
Well, I thought it was very pretty. I mean, I think that's the first thing off the bat that I saw. I had the option of what I wanted to play this weekend, and Jason pulled out a bunch of games. I'm like, ooh, pretty. I don't know anything about Gargoyles. It's kind of ringing a bell now. Maybe I've seen an episode at some point.
You'd remember the theme music. It was like dun 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 dun.
Okay.
And it had Star Trek actors in it.
yeah, I don't. Anyways,
Jonathan Frakes was Xanatos, so Riker was Xanatos. I mean, look, he's over here. You guys tell me, doesn't he look like Riker? And that's a pretty small face for him, but doesn't he look like Riker? I'll show you later. Doesn't matter. And Demona was Counselor Troy. Marina Sirtis.
They like working together, don't they?
They do.
So on a completely different note, I thought it was very pretty. I think it has excellent table presence, and I really like the minis. I think they're cute. I like the fact that they're, different colors, and I enjoy a good mini. It may not be the most detailed mini, but I do think it's pretty.
Now they're fairly detailed. Like, just taking a look at them now, they're, as you say, they're not the best, but they're more than passable. I think we've paid more for games that have worse minis.
Yeah. I mean, the 3D terrain is nice. It's not the best 3D terrain we've ever seen, but, it's cool and it lends itself well to this idea for this game. The player boards are great quality. I enjoyed them, although I'm concerned that we might scratch them with the way that this works with the health track. And, as often happens with Ravensburger games, I find the card stock, I was commenting that not only is it a little flimsy, there's, some cards that have a different tint to them. So I said, if you're really looking at what you're doing, you're going to know which cards are coming, which always bugs me a little bit. It's a pet peeve. That being said, I think that this is a very fun family game. I think that this is a very basic cooperative. It is, if you're going to have a cooperative game on a scale of 1 to 10 of difficulty, this is probably a 2.
Yeah, I'd have to say that this is definitely closer to that 2 level.
It's not the easiest game we've ever played, but it's definitely not very difficult, which is why in the intro we were saying that, kids under 10 could play this, and you could probably play this with younger kids if they have a long enough attention span. Though we got the first game done in, I think, less than 15 minutes. I don't even think we took 15 minutes. I think we had defeated the main character 2 turns in, or at least the secondary main character. So, I mean, what can I say? It's not the most challenging. It's not the most in-depth. But I thought it was fun, and I think it's definitely something that if you're looking for a cool board game to play with kids, I think that's definitely something to consider. I don't think this is ever going to make it to a board game
absolutely not.
Unless somebody really loves the IP and is like, oh, I want to try it. You'll probably hear Jason and I say, you sure you want to try it? Why don't you borrow it if we still have it? Because I'm not sure. And Jason, I'll let Jason talk about that. If we do hold on to it for another 4 or 5 years, I can see playing this with the little guy. I think it'd be cool. Maybe he'll have outgrown it by then because he's already starting to try to learn what we're doing with games. But that being said, there's a couple little weird things with some of the explanations in the rule books. But
this specific scenario has one giant problem, which we can talk about in more detail afterwards.
I'll let you, because it bugged you more than it bugged me. But it's all I can say is I had fun. It was simple, not my favorite game, but I can definitely appreciate the place it would have in a collection for a family of people who are not, that don't necessarily have the number of games that we have, let's say.
Well, I was hoping that Gargoyles would be made for Gargoyles fans like myself. Unfortunately, this game is all presentation, in my opinion. They did a fantastic job, as Julie said, with the presentation. The art is spot on. It looks exactly like the cartoon. The art on the villain cards, the art on the hero cards, everything brings you into the world of Gargoyles, and I absolutely loved it for that. And when I saw it, I was like, I need to get this game and I need to play it. This was made for the kids of Gargoyles fans that are currently watching the show on Disney+. It's really that basic level of cooperative game. Now, we like games that are simple. We love Horrified. like in terms of a very simple, fun to play family game. That game I've brought to game nights. It's gone over incredibly well. So many people I know own it. We own it. We've got American Monsters, which will be our review coming out next week. So just to put it in context, simple, straightforward games we don't have a problem with. This one and the way it works, I don't really have that much fun with it. As Julie said, we could potentially have a good time playing with the little guy as he gets older, but we will never play this again together, most likely. And I think I'm more sour on this than she is, because I had a lot of issues with the 3D terrain. The components were coming apart already, damaged. They're pre-punched. One of these buildings here, actually, I need to contact Ravensburger, is ripped. You can't quite see it, but it's missing the facing there. Also, none of this stuff fits assembled back in the box, meaning it was already ripped. The lifespan of this game, I don't know how long it's going to last. If it's the kind of thing that you take out, is it going to be 10 plays? Is it going to be 15 plays? Could it crap out before that? Like, I already glued a whole bunch of this stuff in terms of the 3D terrain. Everything else was good quality, except for the cards, which Julie covered in detail. I don't need to repeat her. So that was really not fun. I think I might have spent more time fixing this game than we actually spent playing the game. So that's also partially where I'm feeling a little bit sour with the amount of time I invested in getting this thing ready to go. And Julie said that the game is simplistic. And one of the issues I have with that level of simplicity is the cards, the hero cards. Sure enough, you can recycle your cards in day phase, but we beat 2 scenarios going through one day phase, and we've had scenarios where we've never touched the character cards because we're focusing on the objectives. And if you focus on the objectives, it's very easy, it's straightforward. We had a scenario where Demona started here. After 2 gargoyles had activated, Demona was finished and out of the game, and we were moving on to the other objective, which was then to take out Xanatos, and also then have the character of Coldstone being having remembered that he was actually a gargoyle and supposed to be on our side. If you know the TV show, you understand exactly the background. It was a cool scenario, very thematic. We only had Xanatos, Demona, and Coldstone, so it was fun in that regard. The villains hit hard, but I mean, Demona was out of the game, like, boom, very early, and was really not all that difficult. So that was just a big disappointment for me. I love this production value. They made a beautiful Gargoyles game, and it's not something they're going to play on a regular basis. This is really something to play with kids, and if you got kids that love the IP, then I definitely think you should check it out. But other than that, I think you're going to be left wanting, and these overall quality issues, I do need to contact Ravensburger, maybe see if I can get all these buildings replaced or some of them. But yeah, it's okay. Like, I mean, like, I think that's the nicest thing I can say about the game. It's not a complete licensed IP disaster. The game plays well. It's better than the Umbrella Academy and other games, but I think all the money was spent on this presentation, and not enough time was spent in developing the game. Not playing the hero cards and having them just be sort of there if I choose to use them was a big disappointment for me. What up, gamers? Future Jason here. I was just editing the video and I realized that there were 2 points that Julie and I wanted to discuss that we neglected to mention after I got all fired up discussing about my problems assembling the terrain. So one of the things we said we talk about was the possibility of an expansion. If you go and take a look at the rating for the game on Board Game Geek, I think that this game isn't going to be popular enough to get the expansion. It's also not able to be sold in certain areas like Europe. Fortunately, I know people have imported it to Germany because they love the IP, but this game isn't officially coming out there. So that's definitely going to hold the game back just a little bit. And we were talking about some of the weird rules that were in the game. For example, in this scenario, Xanatos starts on the tower with one of these information discs. You will have a card as well as the daytime phase, which will tell you to move Xanatos to the nearest disc and then bring it back to the Ari building where he's already located. We were a little confused by this. We decided to check out the Watch It Played video. We looked at the rules to make sure we got everything right. We had no issues. We also checked out Before You Play's playthrough, and they handled it the same way we did. Xanatos just moved to the disc and didn't really move it. So it's just an odd choice, and there's some odd phrasing, and that's one of the main things we didn't like, specifically in that information warfare scenario. It's not that present throughout the game, but there are a couple of other wonky things like that. So just wanted to add those clarifications in. I'm getting out of here, and you can then get back to your regularly scheduled video. So not the biggest fan of this one. I'm probably putting it up. It's probably going out of the collection, even though I think it could be fun to play with the little guy in a few years. I'm not happy with the quality on this, and I think we'll find something cooler, to be honest.
So on that note, what's your rating?
This is a 5. This game just barely passes.
I don't know where you went to school, but 5 is not a pass.
Okay, so this game gets an okay, bare minimum okay rating, and the table presence and all of that might have gotten it up to a 6, but because the quality is crap in terms of what I got for these, I can't even come close to giving it a 6.
I didn't fight with any of the terrain or anything like that, so for me, the game is a 6. It's, as Jason said, a pass. In my books, a 6 is what you need to pass. 6 out of 10.
Like I said, okay. It's the bare minimum of just okay.
So that's it. So you got from us some barely passing or not quite passing score. And on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing Gargoyles Awakening, there'll be plenty on those feeds. And then also down there is a link to multizone.ca, great Canadian game store. Click that link, get 10% off your next purchase. And it's a great way to support the channel, as a portion of that purchase is returned to us. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie, it'll probably be Horrified American Monsters once we get that out, to keep it with the whole Ravensburger theme.
Sounds good.
And now it's time for us to
grab our drink,
grab our best friend.
Okay, keep playing games, but obviously not this one.
No, I can't justify keeping this for a few years. At this point, it might just be better to buy a copy in a few years, because it'll probably be better quality, hopefully.